Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. This is a series of videos created to help you learn the language that we use here in Penang, Malaysia. My name is Timothy and I'm here to help you. We are now into our 5th video in the series. But before I go any further, I want to explain a little bit about Penang Hokkien. Penang Hokkien is the language used by the Penang Chinese people. Not necessarily the Hokkien people, but the Penang Chinese people in general from the beginning of Penang when it was founded in 1786 until present day. In the first half of the 20th century, the Mandarin language was introduced, and since then, the position of Penang Hokkien as the lingua franca of the Penang Chinese people has somewhat been eroded. However, we are still using Penang Hokkien quite widespread even today in 2023, and is a language which we are keen to preserve, because otherwise, like so many other languages, it is threatened by dying out. So with this series of videos on Learn Penang Hokkien, we hope that you will be able to learn our language. As I mentioned earlier, Penang Hokkien is not just the language of the Hokkien people, but rather the language of the Penang Chinese people. You can use this language and communicate with most of the Penang Chinese people, and they will be able to understand. That's because Penang Hokkien has been so successful that it is spoken not only by the Hokkien, but also by the Cantonese, Teochew, Hainanese, the Hakkas, all the different groups of Chinese people. Some of them have even discarded their own mother tongue. Some of them who are Teochew are unable to speak Teochew, but they use Penang Hokkien as the language spoken at home. The same also with some of the Cantonese, some of the Hainanese and so on who are living in Penang. We are so accustomed to using Penang Hokkien that all of us have embraced this language. So it is not completely correct to say that this is the language of the Hokkien people. Rather, Penang Hokkien, by that name alone, is actually the language of the Penang Chinese people. And now we go to our 5th video. The 5th lesson in this series is entitled Demonstratives. What are demonstratives? Demonstratives, in short, are words that point to things. Words that point to things are demonstratives. And in this lesson, we are going to learn the 4 plus 1. 4 words plus 1. 4 phrases or words plus 1. But before that, it's about time that you have the guts to start using Penang Hokkien in various actual situations. And in this particular lesson, I want to introduce you an opportunity where you can use Penang Hokkien. If you are living in Penang or you are traveling through Penang, for sure you are going to come across our local people, perhaps in the market or in the supermarket, and you are going to see things which are not common in your home country. And you want to ask them, what is this? What is that? What do you call this? And what do you call that? And today's lesson is about talking about that. About asking, what is this? What is that? I want this one. I want that one. And so on. Okay? So, to start off, the first word that we are going to learn today is hamid. Hamid means what? What is hamid? So it's different from Singapore Hokkien. Singapore Hokkien, they probably say simi. Over here in Penang Hokkien, we say hamid. But hamid may sound a little bit abrupt. So often, we add a particle at the end of it and it becomes hamilai. Hamilai can be translated roughly as, what is it? Okay? If somebody were to call you from behind, you might turn around and say, hamilai. Hamilai means, what is it? If somebody talked to you and you could not hear him properly, you want him to repeat, you will say, hamilai. It means, what is it? Or can you please repeat? So, hami and hamilai are words that you want to learn today. And that is going to be used in today's lesson. One more thing is, when you go into the market and you're talking to the hawker, how do you address him? If he is a man, usually you would call him Tao Ke. Tao Ke is a polite way to address the hawker and also to other service people. Tao Ke so and so. So Tao Ke is for the guys and Tao Ke so is for the ladies. So if you see a lady selling something, you will say Tao Ke so and then you ask your question. If it's a guy, you say Tao Ke and you ask your question. Tao Ke means boss. Literally, Tao Ke means head of the family. Tao is the head. You have seen it before in previous lessons. Tao is the head. And then Ke is family. So Tao Ke actually means head of the family. But we don't use it to mean the head of a family. Usually it is used to mean the leader or head of an organization or company or business. So when you say Tao Ke, the immediate meaning is boss. Boss, you address someone as boss, and that's the polite way to address somebody whom you do not know by name. Boss, and you ask your question. So, boss, what is this? Boss, what is that? Now, the demonstratives are the words which we are going to learn today. They are this one, and one. And that one. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 of them. I call them 4 plus 1 because the 1 is actually the number 1. We are going to start with this one, and 1. These are words which in English sound so common, and for the people who speak Penang Hokkien, it is also words that are used very regularly, but they are actually quite difficult to learn because they sound almost the same. They sound so near that people who speak Penang Hokkien do it naturally until you ask them how to say this, and now how do you say this one? So this one sound almost the same, and it's only with the tone numbers that differentiate them. The tone numbers and the hyphens differentiate whether you are talking about this one, or simply one. Now let's start with this one, and one. This in Penang Hokkien is chile. Observe how it's spelled. Chile is spelled like this. Chile. Now, this one is called chile. Look at how it's spelled. Chile. Compare it with chile. Chile is this. Chile is this one. And then one. Like one item is chile. In our video on numbers, we learn one is chit. But when you are talking about item, like one item, two item, we will use chile. We use chile, meaning that one, it has the number 1 with a classifier. 1 with a general classifier, chile. So, let me repeat. This is chile. This one is chile. And 1 is chile. Let me say them all 3 together. Chile. Okay? Chile. Now, how do we use this? This. Let's start with this. So, you are in the market. You see a lot of things. You can ask the hawker, Tao Ke, chile se hami. Chile se hami lai. It means, boss, what is this? You are looking at things that are unfamiliar to you, so you can say, boss, what is this? So, Tao Ke, chile se hami. Tao Ke so, chile se hami. So, Tao Ke so is a boss if she's a lady boss. So, Tao Ke so, chile se hami. So if you were to talk like that and you are a foreigner or an expat, the hawker is absolutely going to be very pleased that you have taken the trouble to learn their language. So you would say, Chile se hami, Chile se hami lai. And the tauke or the taukeso may reply to you in Hokkien, or he or she may reply to you in English. Okay, let's say he replies to you in Hokkien and say the name of the thing. Now, that name is not familiar to you. Then you can ask the boss, Chile ang mo wa kyo hami. Chile ang mo wa kyo hami. We have learned kyo before. Wa kyo lu, lu kyo wa. Kyo is to call. So, Chile ang mo wa kyo hami means, what do you call this in English? English language is ang mo wa. If the person answers you in English, give you the name of the thing, cabbage. Now you want to know how to say cabbage in Penang Hokkien, you would ask, Chile Hokkien wa kyo hami. Chile Hokkien wa kyo hami. How do you call this in Hokkien? So, English is ang mo wa. Hokkien language is Hokkien wa. So, you will say ang mo wa for English and Hokkien wa for Hokkien. The word ang mo wa, to be exact, means Westerners language. But by default, when we talk about Westerners language, we are not referring to French or German, we are referring to English. English on its own, you can say as Ing Bun or Ing Kok Wa. But in the casual context, we don't say Ing Bun or Ing Kok Wa. It will sound very awkward if you try to use Ing Bun or Ing Kok Wa as English when talking to the hawker in the market. You stick to saying Ang Mo Wa. You can say Ang Mo also. Chile Ang Mo kyo hami. What do Westerners call this? So Ang Mo is Westerner. So any Westerner is, you just say Ang Mo, and Ang Mo Wa by default is English. So Chile Ang Mo Wa kyo hami. Chile Hokkien Wa kyo hami. So the first demonstrative that we have learned is Chile. Having seen the things in the market, you are going to pick a particular one. Then that one is not this, that becomes this one, or that one, this one. Now we are going to learn this one. This one is Chile. Okay, it's not Chile, but Chile. You want to say, I want this one. In Penang Hokkien, it will be Wa bui Chile. Wa bui Chile. Wa bui Chile is, I want this. Wa bui Chile, I want this one. Wa bui Chile, I want this. Wa bui Chile, I want this one. Okay? And the hawker might ask, how many? Kui le. Kui le is how many. You want how many? You can say, I want one. I want one is Wa bui Chile. Wa bui Chile. Understand so far? Chile is this. Chile is this one, and Chile is one. So Chile you can use in Chile kyo hami. Chile si hami lai. What is this? Chile si hami lai. What is this? Chile kyo hami is, what do you call this? What do you call this? I want this one. Wa bui Chile. So bui is to want something. One means to buy something. Okay? So you just say Wa bui Chile. You don't have to say I want to buy something. You just say I want this one. Wa bui Chile. Wa bui Chile. I want this is Wa bui Chile. I want this one is Wa bui Chile. And how many do you want? Kui le. Kui le is how many? You say Chile is one. You have learned numbers also. If you want 2 is no le. 3 is sa le. 4 is si le. And so on. So going back to 1 only. If you want 1, Wa bui Chile. Wa bui Chile. I want 2. Wa bui no le. I want 3. Wa bui sa le. 4. I want 4. Wa bui si le. Okay? So that is the three chile, chile, and chile. How about that? That is hele. Hele is that. What with hele? I want that. Hele se hami. What is that? Hele se hami lai. What is that? So you can say hele se hami, and you can also say hele se hami lai. Both are the same, but hele se hami lai sounds a little bit less abrupt than hele se hami, because it might sound a little bit rude if you say suddenly hele se hami. Okay, but of course, when you're talking to the hawker, they do not expect you to exercise complete politeness. It is fine to say hele se hami. What is this? What is that? What is this? What is that? Okay, this one. This one is chile. How about that one? That one is hele. Hele. So chile and hele. Wa my chile. Wa boy hele. Wa my chile. I do not want this one. I want that one. Wa boy hele. I do not want this one. I want that one. Wa my chile. Wa boy hele. So my is do not want. My is do not want is the opposite of buat here. My can also be the opposite of I. I to want something, you can say what I chile, what my hele. What I chile, what my hele. So you can use I and you can also use buat to mean you want something in the market. Okay? What buat chile, what my hele. Chile kyo hame. What is this called? Hele kyo hame. What is that called? Okay, so that more or less concludes what is demonstratives. And finally, how to make plural demonstratives is the plural of chile is chile kaliao. All of this is chile kaliao. Kaliao means all. Okay, chile kaliao, all of that hele kaliao. So you can see all of these things. I say, chile kaliao kyo hami. And okay, you say tauke chile kaliao kyo hami. And the tauke will say chile kaliao kyo chai. Chile kaliao kyo chai. These are all called vegetables. These are all called vegetables. Chile kaliao kyo chai. Chile kaliao kyo chai. Chile kaliao kyo hami. What are these called? Okay, so that is our lesson on demonstratives. And in the next part, we are going to do some exercise on demonstrative. So I'll be seeing you again very soon. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. We are now in the lesson on demonstratives, and we are now going to do some exercises. In this exercise, I'm going to say the phrase in Penang Hokkien. I need you to tell me what it means in English. Okay? Okay, I'm going to start now. I'm going to say it in Penang Hokkien. You tell me in English. Then I will give you the answer. The first one is chile si hami lai. Chile si hami lai. And the answer is, what is this? What is this? Next one is, hele si hami lai. Hele si hami lai. And the answer is, what is that? What is that? The next one is, tauke wa buat chile. Tauke wa buat chile. And the answer is, boss, I want this. The next one is, tauke so wa buat chile. Tauke so wa buat chile. So it means lady boss, or just simply call her madam. I want this one. Next one is chile kyo hami. Chile kyo hami. What is this called? What is this called? Next one is Chile amowa kyohame. Chile amowa kyohame. The answer is, what do you call this in English? What do you call this in English? The next one is Wabwe Chile. Wabwe Chile. And the answer is I want. I want. And now let's go to the next part where we invert the order, where I will say in English, I need you to say in Penang Hokkien. Okay, are you ready? The first one is, what is that? What is that? So the answer is Hele si hami. Hele si hami. The next one is, what is this called? What is this called? And the answer is Chile kyo hami. Chile kyo hami. The next one is, what is it? What is it? And the answer is Hamilai. Hamilai. The next one is, boss, I want one. Boss, I want one. And the answer is Thao ke wabwe chile. Thao ke wabwe chile. And the next one is, boss, I want this one. Boss, I want this one. And the answer is Thao ke wabwe chile. Thao ke wabwe chile. And the next one is, lady boss, I want that one. Lady boss, I want that one. And the answer is Thao ke so wabwe hele. Thao ke so wabwe hele. How about if you want to ask, lady boss, I want that. Lady boss, I want that. How do you say that? Thao ke so wabwe hele. Thao ke so wabwe hele. Next one is, boss, I want all of that. Boss, I want all of that. Thao ke wabwe hele ka liao. Thao ke wabwe hele ka liao. And so that concludes our lesson on demonstratives. I hope you find this lesson interesting and you'll be able to apply it whether in the market, in the supermarket, and anywhere else that you may come in contact with Penang Hokkien speaking people. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like so that YouTube will share it to more people. And subscribe to the Learn Penang Hokkien YouTube channel for more lessons such as this one. I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.